My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts. As you can see, I got a lot going on, folks, and sorry about that, but with this box and when I get things going on, even though I have a list down here of everything that I should do, unfortunately, now you can hear me. You should be able to hear me. No, Twitter's not messing with me. I'll show you guys what this is. Let me get started on the show. I'll explain to you exactly what we're doing today since I missed the beginning of this, and then we'll get started. Stand by. All right, first thing we're going to do here is, and I'm going to go through all this, we're going to share this show. No telling how many people we lost because we didn't have sound there, so but it is what it is. Okay. Hold on a second here. We are going to share this, so copy the link if you're on Facebook. If you're on Twitter, just retweet it. And I got a couple places that I normally post this show. And I'm sorry that I had to do this later today, folks, but it is what it is. I had to do an interview with One American News, and so that took up some time. And then also, I've been trying to set up the shows this week so that we can just have the guests already set up instead of waiting on the breaking news. But even that has been a challenge today, and I'm sharing this with all my different pages here. I got one more. Remember, share them with as many people as you can. And one more here. We're going to go over Trump's speech here in just a second that he did today. Not his speech, but the actual question and answer session that he had with the press. I thought it was great. I thought he did a fantastic job. And okay, there we go. It's all shared. So here's what the deal is, folks. I'm going to pull this off, and I'm just going to show it to you. Well, let me just do this. Actually, I'll just pull the camera down. Watch this. Hold on. All right. See, this is everything I got. I got all my instructions written right here. As you can see, I started too low, so it goes off the edge. This button right here. When you press that button, you can hear me. As you can see, when that button's off, it only comes on when I have the button on. Okay, so there you go. That explains that. Let me pull this back up. Back up we go. Boom. Shakalaka. All right, so recenter it. So that's what happens, folks. I get going busy, even though you saw I have all my instructions written down on this table that I built. It's still, it's the last thing on my thing that I have to check. And for some strange reason, when I get going fast, I just skip right over that every time. This box is great, but that one button causes so many problems. Okay, here's what we're going to do. John Guandello hasn't called me back or written me back, so I don't know if he's going to be available. So let me just play to start off with, and I'm going to go to Michael Jack. Let me talk real quick about what I saw President Trump do today. Now, I talked to Rick Unger, my good buddy Rick Unger, who's a liberal, and he does not agree with me that this was a good speech and a good question and answer session by the president. However, I believe it's 15 minutes long. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there are some good points in this, and I want to point out exactly how the press works. This is very, very important for you all to realize, because you're going to see one of the things when I was talking to Rick, and those of you that know, Rick and I do a spot about every Thursday on Sean Hannity radio show, and we disagree a lot, Rick and I, but at the same time, you know, I respect Rick, and I respect he's a realist. He's just a liberal. He's a successful businessman. He is a successful entertainment attorney. He has also been a judge, a traffic judge in Beverly Hills for a period of time. So, look, Rick has real experience that he brings to the table. That's why I do listen to him, and that's why a lot of the times he makes sense. He just has a different angle in which he approaches things. So, some of the things that he brought up today, what I saw was the media asking the question and saying, so you feel like this is moralistically the equivalent, the alt-left is the same as the alt-right, and on and on and on. Look, I don't like these left-right definitions. I don't like the fact is you're either a racist or you're not. You're a communist or you're not, and those are the people that met up there, sponsored by and large in part by George Soros. Who knows if he's sponsoring even the other side. But the whole thing was, the more we learn about it, the more of a setup it almost sounds like it was, or at least that these people were goaded into being there. Now, I did a whole show on this yesterday. By and large, one of the best shows I think I've had, one of the biggest audiences I've had. And but there's always one person that has something to say. Some guy who you can't tell what these people are or what they're not. He said he was a field medic in the Army, former field medic, and he said the show was so boring he had to turn off and stupid. Well, I guess you're not going to please everybody, but 1 out of like 10,000, I guess that's pretty good ratio. We don't even know who he is in reality. So the disagreement I had with Rick. I understand where he's coming from and how the picture has been painted with whether or not the president responded fast enough. But I have to say, everything that I was complaining about last night, I don't know how many people went on at 2 a.m. in the morning. I think Roxanne did. I don't know. I didn't say for you to tag me, so I don't know if you did it or not. But remember, we got to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. If we do this together, folks, together, there is strength in numbers. So if we go together at 2 in the morning and we decide what we're going to tweet the president and we do it together, right now we would have about 200 people tweeting him. I can guarantee you he's going to see that. Guarantee it. Even the 16 people that are on the communist Google or Google YouTube. It's freaking ridiculous how the Google and YouTube are. I mean, of all the things that they're going to stop as free speech. I'm hearing all these stories about how they're going after people who they're not racist, they're not saying anything bigoted, they just don't say things like they want to hear it, so they will eliminate it. If that's the case, they just need to make YouTube private and make it where you've got to pay for a membership base or something like that. Anyway, so let's go into this. And we're going to discuss a little bit about what he said as it pertains to the press and the media. And then I'm going to go to Michael Jack shortly after that. So stand by, Michael Jack. Let me see if John Guandella wrote me back yet. He did not. Okay.
Why? I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was correct, not make a quick statement.
So the question from the press was, why did you lay low? See, these are targeted questions to try to make him look bad.
The statement I made on Saturday, the first statement, was a fine statement, but you don't make statements that direct unless you know the fact. It takes a little while to get the facts. You still don't know the facts. And it's a very, very important process to me, and it's a very important statement. So I don't want to go quickly and just make a statement for the sake of making a political statement. I want to know the facts. If you go...
Now, one of the things I got to say is that last night, I was saying that he needs to declare these people, both the white supremacist groups and the Antifa groups and all these people, that he needs to qualify them as terrorist groups. Forget about the First Amendment stuff that I brought up yesterday. That's never going to happen. We're not going to change the First Amendment. I actually agree, in retrospect, a little bit with what a lot of people are saying, that you can't go getting muckety-muck with the First Amendment and allow the government to change that, because the first thing they'll do is change it to their benefit. I agree with that. So we already have definitions of laws and these different groups on the books. I think we should start going after these groups, and if they fit the definition of using fear, intimidation, and violence for a political aim, that automatically makes them a terrorist group, and we should go after them. That has nothing to do with freedom of speech. It has to do with their actions and their motivations. That is not covered under the First Amendment. And I agree with the president, what he was saying when he was running for office. I believe burning the flag, no matter what anybody says, is not speech. That is action. If you want to say you hate the flag, okay, that's fine. Whatever, it doesn't bother me. But when you start burning the flag, you are committing an act, not only of arson, but of destruction of the symbol of this country. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it.
Back to my, in fact, I brought it.
I love this. He brought this statement
that
he made.
As I said on, remember this, Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there. Now, here's the thing. As to, excuse me, take it nice and easy. Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet as we were speaking. This event just happened. Before I make a statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making the statement when I made it was excellent. In fact, the young woman, who I hear is a fantastic young woman, and it was on NBC, her mother wrote me and said, through, I guess, Twitter, social media, the nicest things, and I very much appreciated that. I hear she was a fine, really actually an incredible young woman, but her mother on Twitter thanked me for what I said. And honestly, if the press were not fake, and if it was honest, the press would have said what I said was very nice. But unlike you and unlike the media, before I make a statement, I like to know the facts. They don't. Listen, how about a couple of infrastructure questions?
Was that terrorism?
Say it. What?
CEO of Walmart said you missed a critical opportunity to help bring the country together. Did you?
Not at all. I think
CEO of Walmart.
Look, you take a look. I've created over 1 million jobs since
Walmart. The same. Listen, don't get me wrong, folks. I love Walmart. I'm from Arkansas. Walmart is like my home away from home. I can go anywhere in this country and go to a Walmart. Somehow the same hillbillies are in every single one. I'm a hillbilly, I can say that. But I feel at home no matter where I go in Walmart. However, the status of Walmart as to what it used to be ain't that great. So the CEO of Walmart, the sheer fact that you guys are in a lot of states and the fact that you're cheaper is why you all are still a company. You, the CEO of Walmart, have really little to do with that at all. You come into this job, but Walmart was already established. So I, frankly, don't give two craps what the CEO of Walmart thinks. And on top of that, the other thing is Walmart's the same group that was allowing online for Black Lives Matter, another one of these terrorist groups, to sell their stuff online until people protested about it. I think that the CEO of Walmart should just shut his mouth. All right, let's go on.
President, the country is booming. The stock market is setting records. We have the highest employment numbers we've ever had in the history of our country. We're doing record business. We have the highest levels of enthusiasm. So the head of Walmart, who I know, who's a very nice guy, was making a political statement. I mean, ask him how he's doing. I do it the same way, and you know why? Because I want to make sure, when I make a statement, that the statement is correct. And there was no way of making a correct statement that early. I had to see the facts, unlike a lot of reporters. Nazis were there. I didn't know David Duke was there. I wanted to see the facts. And the facts, as they started coming out, were very well stated. In fact, everybody said his statement was beautiful. If he would have made it sooner, that would have been good. I couldn't have made it sooner because I didn't know all of the facts. Frankly, people still don't know all of the facts.
Okay, so this one person here on Twitter says that Trump is lying. He also says Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist group. Well, I beg to differ, considering the fact that they use fear, intimidation, and violence for a political aim. And secondly, because they killed 5 cops, I think it was 5 cops in Dallas, killed several others in Louisiana. Now, you can say whatever you want, but the fact is, they were connected, the people that did the killing, directly connected to Black Lives Matter, swore and said that they were a part of Black Lives Matter. So you can't say that they're not a terrorist group. But even if we take those killings away, Black Lives Matter uses fear and intimidation for a political aim. That is a terrorist organization. You can't say that they don't do that. When they march and block roads, they're trying to intimidate people. When people try to drive around those lines, they assault them or assault their cars. That's using fear. And also, when they beat people up, that's using violence. So fear, intimidation, and violence for a political aim, that is terrorism. That's what Black Lives Matter is. And let's just be honest, folks. Let's be honest. Black Lives Matter is a worthless organization. If you wanted to have a good organization, it would be a group of people that just got together. So perspective from another ignorant white male. So right there, you're showing that you're a racist on Twitter. I'm glad that you did that because it's exactly what I'm talking about. People getting together to clean up the inner city, to get together with the people who live there, to get together with the people that are struggling to survive even in the inner city. They should be supported. They should be able to have their own weapons and defend themselves. We should be able to go in there and help them with after-school programs for their kids, cleaning up the neighborhood. And here's the other thing. The government themselves should hold them accountable and say you can't have broken down cars or crap all over the place. If there's graffiti on the wall, somebody's going to get arrested or fined. If you own the building, you got to clean that building off. If these landlords that live in other places and they're rich and they're not taking care of this stuff and cleaning it off in time, they should be charged with crimes within the inner city. And these drug dealers that are dealing drugs to kids, I think it should be a death penalty. If you want to deal drugs in the inner city and kids are taking them, that's a death penalty sentence as far as I'm concerned. It's no different than if you walked up and shot a kid in the head. That's what I believe. Am I a racist now, turd? I don't think so. The fact is, I'm a realist, and I believe and I know truth, and I know what would clean up the inner city. Holding people responsible and assisting the people that want to make it better. That's how you make it better. And then you go in, and as far as criminals are concerned, you go in there. All right, you're gone. See, I don't deal with people who don't want to have a conversation. I don't deal with that. And I hope I may have just blocked the wrong person there, so let me know if I blocked the wrong person. I don't deal with hate. I don't deal with people who just show up just to argue. Trolls, that's what they are. I come to the desk or to the table. I'm sitting at a desk. I come to the table with realistic understanding of what's effective. All right, I'm sorry. Hold on one second, folks. Let me just let Trump talk for a minute, and then I'll get on with this some more.
It was very important to me. Excuse me. It was very important to me to get the facts out and correctly. Because if I would have made a fast statement, and the first statement was made without knowing much other than what we were seeing. The second statement was made after, with knowledge, with great knowledge. There's still things, excuse me, there's still things that people don't know. I want to make a statement with knowledge. I wanted to know the facts. Okay.
Was this two questions. Was this terrorism? And can you tell us how you're feeling about your chief strategist?
Well, I think the driver of the car is a disgrace to himself, his family, and this country. And that is, you can call it terrorism. You can call it murder. You can call it whatever you want. I would just call it as the fastest one to come up with a good verdict. That's what I'd call it. Because there is a question. Is it murder? Is it terrorism? And then you get into legal semantics. The driver of the car is a murderer. And what he did was a horrible, horrible, inexcusable thing.
Can you tell us how you're feeling about your chief strategist, Mr. Bannon? Can you talk about that?
I would. All right. Let me just say this real quick, and then I'll go to what he said. What I was saying about the inner city is nothing secret. I've said it all here 100 times, is hold people accountable that live there. Allow them to defend themselves, first and foremost, if they're a law-abiding citizen. Secondly, give the police the ability to go in and work with those people and truly police the neighborhood. Have the police build relationships with those people that are law-abiding citizens. Go to the schools. Build relationships with the kids. Third, anybody who's dealing drugs, anybody that's a gang, gangs should be outlawed in this country. I'm not talking about the Boy Scouts. I'm talking about drug dealing, killing gangs. And if you're caught in a gang, they should build a special prison for you where you go there and you got to grow food or something for the inner city. See, that's what I'm talking about. Make it all work. Make it all work together. And then if somebody deals drugs in an inner city and kids get a hold of my thing, or they're using children as their dealers or their snitches or whatever, that should be a death penalty, period, right there. Look, you make the penalties higher, and these people, some of them will quit, some of them will get caught, and they'll be dead, and we won't have to deal with them anymore in this country. And if you're liberal and you believe in abortion, and you have even an inkling of concern, the fact that I'm saying if you're a drug dealer and you get caught and you should be killed, and you're saying that's not humane, you're a confused individual. That's what you are. You are a very confused individual, because unborn children are innocent and you're murdering them. But somebody who goes out and deals drugs and helps destroy a community, they are guilty of making a choice to go down that road themselves, and they should suffer the punishment. And that punishment should be hell on earth. Otherwise, it's gonna get worse and worse, and these things will never be corrected. Now, as far as what the president was just saying there, one of the big discussions that I had with my buddy Rick Unger today was that he felt like the president was making a moral equivalency of racist and communist. And I'm here to tell you, folks, I'll say it right out. And if I get a chance to say it this Thursday, I will. I think that they are on the same moral equivalency. There you go. I got him. I think that is on the same moral equivalency. Somebody that hates somebody for the color of their skin, or because of the heritage that they grew up in, is no different than somebody that hates American citizens that believe in the Constitution. It's no different than people that hate the Constitution, because I know that sounds like it's a stretch, but folks, there'd still be slavery in this country if it wasn't for the Constitution. That's right. So anybody that hates the vessel of freedom is no different than somebody who hates somebody of color or somebody who's Jewish. Because if they hate and want to destroy the vessel of freedom, they are, in essence, directly going after the very thing that allows equality in this country. So I have to deduct that they themselves do not believe in equality, that they themselves ultimately would want people that are different than them to be killed. I think that's a logical conclusion. These people would kill a human being that doesn't agree with their liberal ways. How is that any different than somebody that would kill another human being because of the color of their skin or because of their religion? It's no different. It is the same moral equality. And there will be people on the left that will say, no, that you can't say that. That's not true. Why? Do you think that because that you have a different religion, Christians are being killed overseas? I don't see people making a big deal out of that. They're being killed, slaughtered. The Armenians, who were Christians, they tried to wipe them off the face of the earth 101 years ago. You don't see the left making any reference to that when it comes to Islam. Nothing. They'd rather get mad at you because you said something about Islam. People who want to kill because others aren't like them. It's the same. It doesn't matter if it's based on religion, race, or your love of the Constitution and freedom. It doesn't matter. And I will pose that question to Rick Unger on Thursday if I get a chance to sit down with him, and I hope I will. Now, with what the president just said, first of all, the media is consistently trying to put things in his mouth, and that was the discussion I had with Rick. Was somebody asked a question, and I wish he would have answered it like I just answered it. They're trying, and see this, I also believe, I'm sorry I keep skipping all over the place, but I do believe this is very selfish of people. I know people say, selfish. You're talking about people that are upset because of certain religions that are being threatened to be killed, and people that have color of the skin are being, how can that be selfish? Well, let me tell you, when I sit here and I try to have a conversation with people and I say the reality is that white supremacists in this country and globally are a very, very small group. They're like fleas on a dog. They're bothersome, but they can be eradicated very easy, and they're more trouble than they are anything. I mean, more a nuisance. When it comes to communists, when it comes to these globalists and the communist groups like Antifa, BAMN, Black Lives Matter, these groups that are funded by George Soros and others, those people are the biggest threat to this country and to this globe. They are a terrible threat to the world as we know it. They are not just fleas. They are a giant storm system that is covering the entire globe, and they cannot truly be fixed without the intervention of the government. And the problem is that we have so many people in the government that are not interested or they're a part of it. But for people to say that, no, that's not as bad because people that have my color of skin or because people that practice my religion are being threatened, this is worse. It's not worse. It's the same all the way across the board. Hatred, people who trash the Constitution. The white supremacists don't follow the Constitution. Neither do communists. White supremacists would love to kill people of color and different religions and wipe them off the planet. Communists would love to do the same, and they have done it. All these people that they're utilizing, all these feminists, all the Black Lives Matter types, all the gay movement, all these different people, what they show is that after communism takes hold, they kill all those people. That's what they do. They kill them all because they don't want people who are going to cause a problem. So there's no different, and I find it very almost... I don't know what the word is to use, but it's almost a little bit of we're worth much more than the rest of the country or the rest of the people. So now when the media is talking to Trump, they keep trying to put these things in his mouth, and they make it sound the way they ask the questions. They say, well, so you're saying this is a moral equivalency? But he never said that. I'm saying it. He never said it. And I find it very, look, the media's going to do that, but what kills me is when people then go out and repeat it and say that the president said it. The president didn't say it. The president never said it's a moral equivalency. But I do love the way this ended.
Maggie's question. Steve Bannon is
I never spoke to Mr. Bannon about it.
Now they're talking about Bannon. I don't really have anything to say about that.
No, I can't tell you. I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's talking about. But when you say the alt-right.
Okay, here we
That
go.
the alt McMaster against
I've
all
already
these
done
attacks.
it. I did it the last time.
And he called on it again, linking this
Senator
to
McCain?
the alt-right and
Senator
saying
McCain, you
these-
mean the one who
yes.
voted against Obamacare?
And he said
Who
that
is Senator? You mean Senator McCain who voted against us getting good health care?
McCain
Yeah.
said that the alt-right is behind these attacks, and he linked that same group to those who perpetrated the attack in Charlottesville.
Well,
Do you-
I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's talking about. But when you say the alt-right, define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
No, define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define
Senator
it for me.
McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left that came charging at him? Excuse me. What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
This is Senator McCain's statement.
Let me ask you this. What about the fact they came charging,
Here's where she
that
says
they
it.
came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. I'm not finished, fake news. That was a horrible day. I will tell you something. I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have, you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent. Go ahead.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
Those people, all of those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. So, excuse me, and you take a look at some of the groups and you see, and you know it if you were honest reporters, which in many cases you're not, but many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So, this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week, and is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop? But they were there to protest, excuse me, you take a look the night before, they were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. Infrastructure question, go ahead.
Should statues of Robert E. Lee stay up?
I would say that's up to a local town, community, or the federal government, depending on where it is located.
Are you against the Confederacy?
Race relations in America, and do you think things have gotten worse or better since you took office?
I think they've gotten better or the same. Look, they've been frayed for a long time, and you can ask President Obama about that because he'd make speeches about it. But I believe that the fact that I've brought in, it will be soon, millions of jobs. You see where companies...
Well, let me just get to the end of this real quick.
What do you think needs to be done to
outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly. I just didn't understand what you were saying.
There
See,
were
okay,
people in-
that is what I'm talking about. That is a question that if he was not on top of his game, he would have dismissed that, and then people would have said, "Oh, he's saying that white nationalists were mistreated." What he's saying is that there are people on both sides that were violent. And this is the exact type of nonsense and unethical journalism that I'm talking about. It's one of the people on Twitter just said loaded and misleading, and that pisses me off. And that, my friends, is what the American public need to rally against. Okay, let me let this finish. We'll talk about this, and I'll have Michael Jack on.
Rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, they were people protesting very quietly.
Okay, here's the other thing that people on the left are mad about, because he said this. See, here's where their confusion with, do you give them freedom of speech or do you not? There were these, I guess what they call them, I've never heard the term white nationalists as much as I have now, white supremacists mixed with other people. I don't know who's who, and you can't trust just because they have a torch that they could have thrown in. This is the way these people work. People from these leftist groups put people in there carrying torches with them to make it look like their crowds are bigger. They'll actually do that. However, Friday night, I didn't hear of any violence. And so he's saying that there were peaceful protests Friday night, and that is pissing people off on the left. They are saying that he is condoning it because he won't say that that it was hate-filled. I think we all have got that there were white supremacists out there, but the fact is they had a permit and they were not trying to fight Friday night. That's the only reason he's saying that. Not because he supports the white supremacists, because he's making a statement on the reality. There was no fights Friday night until the Antifa and the leftists show up on Saturday.
The taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest and very legally protest because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this. There are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have? You have an infrastructure.
What makes you think you can get an infrastructure bill? You didn't get health care.
Well, you know, I'll tell you. We came very close with health infrastructure.
President, have you spoken to the family? Have you spoken to the family of the victim of the car attack?
No, I'll be reaching out. I'll be reaching out.
When will you be reaching out?
I was very. I thought that the statement put out, the mother's statement, I thought was a beautiful statement. I was telling you, it was something that I really appreciated. I thought it was terrific, and really under the kind of stress that she's under and the heartache that she's under, I thought putting out that statement to me was really something I won't forget. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
President, do you think you're helping to heal the nation?
Does anyone know I own a house in Charlottesville?
Where is it?
Oh boy.
Okay, I don't know. I thought there was a part where he went off on CNN again. I know he did, but and he just called them fake news. He wouldn't answer. Now, listen, one thing that I'm seeing a lot of people, especially on Facebook, saying is that the nationalists were peaceful. Nicole, who I love you, you're saying that, where was it here about nationalists? The media has made it a race issue, but patriots could be called nationalists. Listen, here's what you got to be careful of, folks. You cannot buy into the lingo. If somebody starts calling you alt-right, then you need to get away from that. And don't identify, and don't say, there's nothing wrong with the alt-right. They're going to continue to do this, and you have to learn how to play their game. Using words like nationalist, why not just say constitutionalist? There's nothing that they can say when you say I'm a constitutionalist. What are they going to say that has nothing to do with race? In fact, the Constitution has been the reason why we've gotten away from race. While we've gotten into equality and away from prejudice. So why not use the word constitutionalist? You throw in something like nationalist, and the press is going to jump on it and try to make it into a race issue. You have to be smart, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, okay? People that love the Constitution, people that love this country, I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, you better start learning how to work together, first of all. Secondly, you better start learning how to communicate on a regular basis. And you better, that's why I brought up this whole Constitution Quick Reaction Force. You need to start doing things together so that you can start understanding truth together. Forget the narratives, forget what the media says, and you need to learn how to guard yourself against their game and learn their game. One of you know it, not going to do anything. 5 of you know it, maybe a little bit. 1,000 of you understand their game. You have 1,000 man and woman army to stand against the globalist, the communist, the black separatist, the white separatist. Any of these people, you can stand against them and stand together. But you have to learn to work together. You can say what you want. You don't like the fact that I say that. Yes, we are American patriots, Roxanne. But when you use the terminology that they're going to go after, you're setting yourself up for a problem. Look, this is warfare, and it's no different than if it was World War II and you're going against Hitler. Propaganda is an important part of warfare, and if you don't learn how they play the game of propaganda, you're going to lose the war. Propaganda is the ultimate smart bomb, because it is the thing that, especially on the airwaves today, can be spread like wildfire if it goes viral. White nationalists went viral, so people just see nationalists and they automatically think racist. So we have to be smarter than that. If you truly believe you're a constitutionalist, and if you truly believe in what's best for all people of this country, then you need to be smart and work together. Period. Now, let me say this before I call up old Michael Jack here real quick. Let me see here 1 second. What I want everybody to do, okay? Tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you have to set your alarm to get up, like, boo-hoo, okay? Boo freaking who. Stop just watching this show every night. Set your alarm for 2 a.m. or that's 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're on the West Coast, it's not going to be as late for you. 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is what we'll tweet out. Mr. President, we stand behind you. The Constitutional Quick Reaction Force. That's all we're going to tweet out. Let's just see if we can do that. Okay? You want to tag Fox News and CNN or any of these other people, go right ahead. Tag me on it as well. Mr. President, and you tag Donald Trump. You say, Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump, the Quick Reaction Force stands with you. 2 a.m. Okay? Give me thumbs up. Give me some hearts. Let me see if you're going to do it. It's not that big of a request. But it'll be the first time that if we get all the people that are on here right now, we'll roughly have 146 people on here to do it. Carl Henderson, I do not want to follow this show. I just want to be a civilian again. Well, Carl, don't watch this show. You're not being forced to follow this show. I don't understand what that's all about. So, okay, 145. We'll minus Carl from this. So what I want you all to do is get together tonight. I'm not saying you're not going to get together. Let's just come up on comms, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and everybody tweet. Go to Twitter. Go to Twitter. If you're on Facebook and you don't have a Twitter account, then do this. You do the @ symbol and then Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. You type that in, and then that will pull up his profile. You click on that. But I don't know if he watches Facebook. So if you don't have a Twitter account, just go make one. You don't have to do anything. Just all you got to do, you don't even have to put a picture up there. Just on your profile, just put CQRF. That's a hashtag CQRF. Just put that on your profile. You don't have to put anything else. And then at 2 a.m., let's all go and send a text to him that says, Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump, the CQRF, or you could put the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force supports and stands behind you. That's all. But we'll do it together. And then the next time we see something, we'll try to do this a couple times a week. Then we can stand together and do this. And I'm telling you, folks, listen. We do this for 6 months. In 6 months or a year, we may have 1,000 people. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm telling you, it's no coincidence when they see things where a lot of people are putting this out together. They listen and they watch social media closely. Okay, why 2 a.m.? Now, it's a good question, Dan. 2 a.m. because the president is, if he's going to be tweeting, it's going to be around 2 a.m. That's why. He's busy during the day. The guy stays up late, and so it seems to be whenever he puts out social media, or if somebody's doing it for him, they're doing it around 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, there's also less people on Twitter, although I don't know if 2 a.m., but that's true. Who do we call? I'm not sure what you're talking about calling there, Gary. So, again, the reason why we're doing this is so that we can unify and we can have a voice. Yes, Eastern Standard Time, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tweet, Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump. The Constitutional Quick Reaction Force stands with you. Let the media come and find out who started that. Let them come to me. And it will be the greatest day in media history if they come to me. If CNN, who I was a contributor for paid for a year, but I was only on there for 4 months because they don't like the truth. If they want to come to me, I hope it's live, because I'm going to lay the smack down as far as truth goes. And I would love it nothing more than if Brian Stelter or the knucklehead from the White House crew were the ones that would ask me these questions. 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump, the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force, hashtag CQRF, stands with you. So, Bryce needs assistance on Twitter. All right, somebody give Bryce offline some assistance with Twitter. All right, listen, even if 50 people do this, it's going to be remarkable. But if 100 people do it tonight, folks, that's the beginning of a footprint that is going to go straight up the behind of the mainstream media. Please, if you are sick of this nonsense going on, help me put this shoe on the big foot of the Constitution and shove it straight up the behind of the mainstream media. They are the ones that are perpetuating this entire thing. Do it. I love this. I'm seeing people say they're going to do it. I'm holding you to it. Make sure you tag me on it so I can count the number of people that are doing it. All right. Let me call Michael Jack. Listen, I love this. I love the fight. And I'm not talking about going out and punching people at a useless protest. I'm talking about standing up to these people and standing together, man. There's nothing I love more than standing together with a team. And when you do it unconventionally, it's amazing. And nobody else is doing this, folks. You have people that go on the media and they try to make a name for themselves. They try to do this and that. I don't care my name. I don't care. What I do care is that we stand together. We're not nationalist. You know, we're not. There's no race involved here. We are constitutionalists that love this country, and that's it. How do you tag me? At jgilliam_seal. Just type my name in. Whatever you want to do. It looks like this. Nope, I got to write it sideways. Hold on. It looks like that. All right, if you can't remember it, just come back to this page and you'll see it. And then this. Oh yeah, you got to do the at symbol in front of my name. There you go. Take a screenshot of that in case you can't remember. Ba-bam. Wait, I'm sorry. What was that, Debbie Wasserman Schultz? What are you saying?
I don't like you guys at all, and I want my freaking computer back. All right, Debbie.
All right, Debbie. You can also do a hashtag the experts. We are the experts. All right. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. For those of you that don't normally get the voices, there's a conversation going on behind me. Let me pull it up here real quick. I got to go behind this curtain, though, because they're back here. Hold on.
Debbie. Hey, Debbie. This is Dennis Kucinich. I love you, Debbie.
I don't have anything to say to you, Dennis Kucinich. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and I love to refer to myself in the third person. Debbie doesn't like Kucinich. Debbie doesn't do Kucinich.
But Debbie, I love you, Debbie. I'm Dennis Kucinich, and I approve this message.
Yeah, I'd like you to approve a taxi and get out of here. I want my computer.
All right, I'm back. Those two idiots. I wish they'd get out of my apartment. All right. If I ever get a radio show, this is going to be part of it. Okay, so, yeah. Sorry, Michael Jack. I've been keeping you on hold there. Hold on, buddy. Stand by. One of these nights, we're going to get old Ron Bellin because he likes to play the guitar, and I sing country music, and we're going to get together, and we're going to do a little duo. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. All right, Michael Jack, that's who I'm trying to call here. Hold on. All right, hold on, Michael Jack.
There you are.
Here I am. Sorry. You know, I get on a roll and I forget what my schedule is, but you know, listen, it is what it is. So I was hoping John Guandola would come on with me, but to talk more about the Red Green Alliance, but I guess he's probably already in bed. He's, you know, those Marines go to bed early.
Yeah, well, us old guys go to bed early too.
Yeah, not this stallion. Okay, so I haven't got to talk to you since the past weekend. I know that you see things, and I saw you direct messaged me and said your investigative feelers are out there, and it didn't quite make sense what was going on. What did you see from this weekend?
Well, it wasn't so much what I saw as what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw on Facebook, social media, and so on, but I kept hearing about the local cops telling reporters that they were told to stand down. So if you back that up and you combine it with the fact that this was like the third or fourth protest that these guys had without incident,
mm-hmm.
you know, up till this weekend, and you look at the fact that the governor made a really big deal out of this before he even got going, called out the National Guard and all that stuff. And the fact that I've heard that he is looking at possibly making a run against Trump for president in 2020. And the fact that, or maybe a fact that these people that showed up on buses, you know, with their signs and everything, all their stuff already made up. You know, it looks like a setup to me.
Yeah, that's very...
What do you think?
No, it's very interesting. And so maybe no setup as far as like the white supremacists showing up, but the fact that well, wherever Antifa shows up, I mean, let's be honest about it. Wherever they show up, it's a setup, because whether or not they have anything to do with the group getting the. Well, when we say setup, I don't want people to think that we're saying that they also brought in people to stand in as white supremacists and get a permit, and then they goaded them into that. Although that could be very well it. I mean, they say they're going to take down a statue. People start to protest. They just wait and put the bait out there and wait for them to come. That could be one thing. But I noticed when it comes to Antifa, wherever they show up, it's highly organized. When you know this, Michael, whenever a group is doing anything and they yell medic, get me a medic, there's coordination there. I mean, these people, they bring their own medics with them, their own milk for the pepper spray. They have it's their own signs that are made up in printers, and it's the same thing repeated all over the country.
In fact, you watch. There's another protest that's scheduled in Atlanta in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
You watch and see what happens there. And I'll, the one thing that stood out also is these guys on the left are, they're taking pictures and movies, and they're getting face shots of as many people as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. They did that, like they caught this one kid who's actually from Reno, and they made a big deal out of him. He's just some 20-year-old kid, right? But they cover their faces. They wear the black. They wear the hoods and everything. We need to, on our side, we need to have folks out there that are taking movies of them, pictures of them and everything, and not just when they're in action, but follow them back to the buses. Follow them around until they take the hood off. And get a picture of it.
Why does it seem to me that there's no counter intel going on with these groups, and why isn't the government looking at these people? That's I guess a good question for you is why they have all the characteristics of behavior of terrorist groups. Why wouldn't the FBI be looking at this?
We don't know. They're not.
That's true, but
right?
I don't see any action over the past year. I mean, how much, maybe they got somebody in there undercover or something, but this would be very easy to stop. The DOJ should be looking at this and declaring these people terrorist groups.
They're probably, like BLM and Antifa, with what they've done so far, I think they're probably very close to where they could be classified as domestic terrorists. Mm-hmm. Very close. If, maybe they should be. But, again, look at the, we've talked about this before, look at the political climate right now. And up until just recently, the guy who was running the FBI is McCabe. Look at his background. Far left, he's got an axe to grind with everybody in the Trump administration, including the president. It's not going to happen real quick, but it could happen down the road.
I wish he'd fire that guy tomorrow. I don't understand why he allows us to stay on. This is utterly destructive for the country. I'm talking about McCabe.
The thing about McCabe is he's not a presidential appointee.
I thought McCabe was.
He's civil service. He worked his way up. I don't believe that the deputy director of the FBI, I don't think they're political appointees.
Oh, no.
I think they're...
I'm talking about McCabe, the NSA. You're talking about... I'm sorry. I was talking about McMaster. I'm sorry. I was getting the wrong...
Yeah.
McCabe... Go ahead.
He's civil service.
Yeah, McCabe... I understand that he's civil service. However, the stuff that he's been involved with over the past couple of years with his wife and not disclosing stuff on his financial disclosure, there's enough there where there could be a review and the guy could be forced to retire or charges.
And but the thing is that review would have had to have been. It couldn't. I don't think OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, the Bureau, would be able to do that one. I think that would have to be passed off to OPR across the street at the Department of Justice, and look at who was in charge of the Department of Justice until just recently.
Yeah, interesting.
Politics.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Somebody, and I don't know how, John Guandolo is not in here, but I still want to kind of cover this. I don't know how much you know about the Red Green Alliance, but I got to go ahead.
No, I was going to say not much, so you're going to have to explain that.
So the Red Green Alliance is the alliance between communism and Islam, and it's a long-standing relationship. They had, during the Blind Sheikh trial, they uncovered a whole treasure trove of Muslim Brotherhood information that showed that they were coordinating with the communists. I got a message from somebody, I can't remember if it was an email or direct message from somebody from Canada yesterday, and they said after watching the show they had to reach out to me because I was saying that Canada was close to becoming communist with their president, and he said he thought that they were closer to becoming an Islamic nation than they were a communist nation. But I found that very striking because the fact that we're talking about either of those groups together in Canada shows you how close they are to influencing on a grand scale the United States. And that, it seems to me, I guess the question that you could answer is the same thing with where's the FBI? Why isn't it that our government is not looking at these nefarious, potentially gravely dangerous groups that want to subvert this country? Where's the government in all this? I'm shocked. If this was 60 years ago, the government would be all over it.
Well, yeah, yes and no. And like I said, you don't know really what they are doing. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah. I know that when I was in there, there've been a lot of laws passed since Hoover died, and that prevent the Bureau from doing a lot of the things that Hoover was able to do during his tenure. My first partner when I was in training agent, when I was in the Denver division, was a fantastic guy, but when he was young, worked undercover in the Denver area in a group, going against a group that was, was during the era of the race riots and, all that kind of stuff that was going on in the 60s. And he was part of that group. He got into that group, and he didn't hear anything or didn't get anything in particular, but he felt like the information that was being fed to him was, communist inspired. Well, we found out later on down the road when the wall came down, then the East Germans, basically took over the Stasi headquarters in Berlin. Once they got all the civilians out of there, and the CIA and the Brits and everybody else were able to get in there and get a hold of those files. Well, sure enough, the KGB and other, intelligence organizations from the Eastern Bloc were doing everything they could to, incite riots and, all the stuff that was going on in the 60s. They were trying to destabilize us then, using the same tactics, same kind of tactics that are going on now.
So this was in the 60s. They were there making this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were part of it.
That is fascinating.
They had people that were, agitators and so on. They would get things riled up. They would provide, funds or whatever they needed to when they could, and they could get it into the country. But, they use their sleeper cells. You know what sleeper cells are.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about that later if you want. But they use those people to try and, stir the pot and get riots happening and so on. It goes on. We meddle in each other's affairs all over the world all the time. It's just part of the life of being a nation, trying to protect yourself and further your ideology or whatever, depending on what kind of the communism has been doing this forever, for as long as they've been in existence. Should it be investigated? Oh yeah. We should try and catch those guys everywhere we can. I agree with that. But going back to your Canada thing, doesn't matter which way Canada goes. Either way, it's bad for us. If they go communist, that's a totalitarian regime.
Mm-hmm.
If they go Islamic, that's a totalitarian regime based on theology, sort of.
Right.
Either way, it's bad. Either way, we're going to have a mass migration from Canada to the United States.
Yeah. Well, maybe it would be a mass a migration of people who were looking for freedom versus people who were looking to overthrow the government.
Exactly. That's what I meant. People trying to get away from it.
What do you think about what the president had to say from a analysis standpoint of did he answer the questions that he should have answered?
I think he did a pretty good job. In fact, I love the way he dodged the question about the moral equivalency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was on his game, like you said. He saw where they were going with that, and he basically said, no, I'm not drawing any moral comparisons. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm talking about two bad groups that got together and had a brawl.
Yeah. But what do you think about what I said about the moral equivalency being the same? I mean, what's the difference if somebody wants to kill people with dark skin and that are or people that are Jewish versus people that want to kill freedom lovers? What's the difference?
There isn't really much difference. It just one of them is the communism side is pushing an ideology of totalitarianism. Basically, what you end up with is a small group that's in charge of everything,
mm-hmm.
and the rest of us are all automatons going around doing what we're told. And if you have any thoughts outside of what the state wants you to think, then just like they did in under Stalin and everybody else over in the Soviet Union, you end up dying or you go to the gulag.
Right.
On the other side, you're looking at racism. There's the basis for it, but you end up the same way. If you were lived in a racist society and you tried to speak up for the minority, whoever it is, whether it's white, black, or purple, you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be killed. You're going to be sent to prison. You end up with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Totalitarianism. They're both bad.
This is interesting times. I mean, I have to be honest. 5 years ago, when I was still in the Bureau, I did not see this, and I pride myself on being a targeting specialist and having some of the highest awareness that people can have. I did not see this coming this fast. I did not see it. And it's
well.
Go ahead.
Back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, when we were looking down the road, a couple things have happened that nobody expected. First of all, we don't have a politician in the White House, which is a great thing.
Right.
So maybe it can bring about some change. And I kind of drew this analogy when I was talking to somebody else the other day. What the media and the establishment and everybody else is going that are used to the past, used to having a politician in there. What they're going through now is very similar to somebody who's who's all of a sudden has been an alcoholic their whole life, and they took the bottle away.
Right.
They're going through the DTs. They're basically going through the DTs. And it's going to take a long time before people finally settle down and realize it. But the problem is that there is so much money behind what they're doing. You got people like Soros and other billionaires that are pumping. What was it I heard the other day? I can't remember who it was, but it was a credible source. $85 million to Black Lives Matter from Soros.
I've heard 100 million actually, but yeah. What's the difference, really?
And then how much is going to Antifa or any of these other organizations? I mean, you look at all of these, MoveOn.org, all of these, these organizations out there that are, basically getting fed money, and their whole purpose is to disrupt. This is the lefts. This is the communists, the fascists, whatever you want to call them, whatever angle they're coming from. This is their opportunity to try and grab control somehow, or to grab more control. And I don't think they're doing a very good job of it. I think they're going about the wrong way. And it's going to end up blowing up in their face. I think it already is. You look at the donations to the Democratic Party are way off. They're way, way down.
Well, here's the problem, though, with that, is that somebody asked me if I'd put this thing up, the Twitter code up again for myself. I agree. It's making the Democratic Party look good, but it's not making leftists go away, and the rhinos are just as strong now as they were, 6 months ago. The rhinos are strong, and that's going to be the problem. I talked yesterday. I got to guest host with Bill Tucker on Newsmax, and I got to interview Jack Abramoff, and he is, the reputed lobbyist who went to jail. And that guy knows. You can think what you want about him, but as Michael Jack will attest to, bad guys make the best sources. And so I was considering him when I was interviewing him yesterday. I was using him as my source, and I asked him the question: what is the biggest national security threat in Washington, D.C.? Is it politicians? Is it big money people? Is it lobbyists? And I said, you probably know this better than anyone else in Washington, D.C., because you've seen the underbelly. And you know what he said? The rhinos, or the Republican establishment, is the most dangerous, because you cannot tell what they're going to do, and they have sold the conservatives down the river so many times. I thought that was fascinating, coming from this guy who literally has nothing to lose, really, from this. It just goes to what we talked about when I saw you in Reno, and the fact that we're talking about this now. This stuff is being made possible. I mean, if you think about it, Mike, the fact that we own the president, that the Republican Party owns the presidency, the Congress, and the Senate, and still things are in such disarray like this, I think it speaks right to what he was saying.
Well, I think you're right. I think he's right. The thing is, our whole card is elections, especially off-year elections.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one coming up, and the whole House is going to be up, for election like they are every 2 years. But a third of the Senate is coming up, and most of them are Democrats. The ones that are coming up for re-election are Democrats. And, they're saying they're going to hold all their seats and they're going to take the Senate back and all that. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I think by the time, our economy is already starting to take off, by the time the election comes around, people are going to be looking, I don't care what Trump says, I got a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And things are getting better. And a lot of these rhinos that have come out against them, they might be in trouble. And a lot of these Democrats, especially in states that Trump won, you see them already. They're already starting to act more moderate. They're not endorsing Trump or anything, but they're hedging over towards the middle because they know they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so that's getting the right people elected that aren't going to be rhinos, that are going to have new blood in there, that are thinking the right way. They're thinking they're constitutionalists, like you said. That's the important part. That's what we got to do.
I got to say,
that'll help take care of that problem.
I got to say real quick. See, I get notified on here whenever new people tune in on the show on Facebook Live, and Roberto Calisano just tuned in. He was my roommate in college. He's like 10 feet tall, and I'm very, very happy that Roberto is tuning in. We got to have Roberto. I got to say his name right. You need to call in someday and tell us about the politics in Italy. He's from Genoa, Italy, and is something like you'd see in a movie. He's an amazing man. So thanks, Roberto, for tuning in, and feel free to take in and join in the dialogue. Michael Jack, before I let you go,
Wait, hold on a second.
Go ahead.
I got one thing that I've been wanting to tell you.
Yeah.
That since you said earlier, you were talking about cleaning up the streets, and the people have to get involved and right in the neighborhoods and everything, and the cities have to, do what they have to do. I've got a great example of that. Back in the late 90s when I was doing, as a supervisor, you have to go out and do inspections. One of the inspections I went out on was Detroit. the Detroit division.
Mm-hmm.
And my job was to talk to, or part of my job was to interview some of the heads of various local law enforcement. And one of the guys I interviewed was a captain in the state police. And Detroit had a mayor for 22 years that was as corrupt as you could possibly be.
Whoa, no, Detroit? No.
Yeah, Detroit. Yeah. And that guy, he died in office, but he would not allow the Detroit Police Department to work with the FBI on anything.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was so corrupt, he was afraid that, eventually they were going to get him.
Right.
And they probably could have somewhere along the line. The new mayor gets elected, and he's a business type guy. I don't know what party he was in, but he took this business approach to it. Now, Detroit's the first city I ever went to where I actually saw skyscrapers boarded up, right? That was shocking to me. So anyway, this guy takes over, and he starts looking at it from a business perspective. He starts allowing the cops to work with the FBI and other federal agencies. They start creating task forces. And this captain told me, he said, I used to go to the neighborhood meetings, and people would be complaining in these meetings about drive-by shootings, about having to grab their kids and lay down on the floor in their homes to get hit with stray bullets. Since that change in administration, since law enforcement started working together along with other agencies to get rid of crack houses, to get rid of abandoned homes and tear them down, all that kind of stuff that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I go to those meetings now, and the only thing, the worst thing that people complain about is the next door neighbor having an engine block in their front yard. That is a testament to exactly what you were talking about. And what happens? This guy ends up, moving on, or he got replaced or whatever. Another corrupt mayor walks in, takes over, and look where Detroit is today.
Yeah. Right back down. That's
right backwards.
And that's a big lesson for the American people when it comes to President Trump, is that I keep saying, regardless of whether you like his abrasiveness or not, the fact is that this president is the dam for the river, but it's only a temporary dam. And if people don't realize that, and they don't get on board with electing the right people and making the changes while they can, then we're going to lose the opportunity. And who knows who comes in next. And what happens in this type of environment, it's like, when you push a rock uphill, if you don't get over the top with that thing and you get tired, it's going to roll right back over you. And that's what happened in Detroit. That's what can happen to this country very easily.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other comment, if you got a minute, that I'd like to make is about rhinos. Rhinos go where the money are. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the people they represent until it's time for them to go home and try and make up stories to get themselves reelected.
Right.
All right? They go where the money is. I've told you this before. Half of the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. are there because of the Internal Revenue Code. You do away with the Internal Revenue Code, the IRS, and the 16th Amendment, you will cut half of the lobbyists out of a job. They'll be going to Walmart looking for jobs as greeters. So they won't have anything else.
We need to get somebody with you on here from the IRS, where you're the tax guru. Maybe we can do a show on this, and we'll give exact examples. We'll do much more than just a statement or a segment where you can actually school people. The other thing I want to try to do is I want to try to Skype, now that I haven't done it since I had this more powerful computer, but I'm going to try to figure out if we can Skype, and if we can, that would help out tremendously, because then if you have charts or you want to write anything and people can see you. So that's going to be the next step, see if I can do that.
All right. We'll have to test that out and see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thank you very much, and as always, thank you for being a part whenever I host these shows. I'm going to be hosting again Thursday, I believe, so I may be calling on you. And thank you for last week.
No problem, man.
You got it. All right.
Take care.
Out.
All right.
So there you go, folks. I will be hosting again by myself, actually, on Newsmax again this Thursday for the Schnitt Show. Say that 10 times real fast. That's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Newsmax. You can go to newsmax.com, and it'll be live on there. And last week I had Michael Jack and Jason Meister that you know from this show. And so we'll see who I have this week. All right, I'll tell you what. It's late. We're losing numbers. Still halfway decent numbers. So why don't we go to the Truth Zone and decent numbers.
Whoop.
So
let me unplug that.
And we will make sure that's turned down. Go to the Truth Zone, and then we'll get back here tomorrow, and I'll be on time tomorrow. I don't think I'll have. I am doing an interview with One American News tomorrow, but I'll let you know when that's, if it's going to be live or if it's recorded. I'll let you know sometime tomorrow. But even if it's live, I'll step off, do it, and come back. That's what we'll do. Now, at 2 a.m., people are still asking me about this before we go. At 2 a.m., you are going to tweet the president, and it's going to say, Mr. President, and then at Real Donald J. Trump, the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force, hashtag CQRF, stands with you. That's what we're going to do. And you can put on there, you can tag it to CNN. You can tag Fox on there, whatever you want to do. And in fact, here's what I'm going to do, folks. Here's what I'm going to do for you. Just stand still real quick. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on Facebook and Twitter, and then I want you to copy this picture, and then I want you to tweet it. I'm thinking, look, those of you that know me know my brain works like this, where it starts rolling, and it typically works out quite well for me. So here's what we're going to do. Let me make a meme real quick, and I'm going to show you what the meme looks like, and then we are going to, I want you to copy this picture. You do a screen grab or just copy it off of Facebook or Twitter, and then at 2 a.m., I want you to tweet this picture and put, I want you to tag President Trump. You can't tag him on the picture, but you can say at the top, the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force stands with you. So here's what I'm going to do. Watch this. Hold on one second here. Just stand with me. I'm going to make it very easy for everybody, because that's what a true leader does. He makes it as easy as possible. Right, Roberto? Basta, silencia. All right, here we go. Here, hold on one second here. Let me just say it. President Trump, comma, the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force stands with you. Exclamation mark. Hey, look at that. It recognized my voice. And he won't know what this is, but we do. Hold on one second. You guys will like this. And make it a little smaller. Push it in there. Stand by. Wait 1 second. Don't get in a rush. Don't leave. Stand by. 1 second. Stand by. I will make this good. One more second. Stand with me. One more second. I'm doing this as we speak. I'm making this. This is a great program for making memes. Let's see here. Let me make that a little bigger. There we go. Almost done. One more thing. Let me add a flag on here. Gotta always have a flag. And there's a flag. Okay. You guys are gonna like this because it's good. All right. Boom. Shakalaka. Let me do one more thing here. Let me crop it. Boom. Boom. I'm going to save it. And the name of this program is called UDoodle. It's saving. And this is what we're going to tweet at 2 a.m. Ready for this? Are you ready? Stand by. I just created this in that little bit of time. Let me turn the light down so you can see it. Right there, folks. All right. I'm going to post that. I'll post it right now on Facebook. And I'm also going to post it on Twitter. I'll post it on Instagram, but I don't really know anybody that's on Instagram except they're taking pictures of themselves. So let me do this real quick. Hold on. We're going to do this right. Boom. Done. And I'll even put what you need to put on there to tweet it out, so you can copy that too. Hold on one second. Trying to make this easy as can be for you all. Okay. One second. Almost done. Constitutional Quick Reaction Force. Now you see how I roll. All right. Okay. Now, I did the whole thing for you. Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump, the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force, CQRF, stands with you. And then you can put whatever else you want. You can tag other people if you want. And I'm going to post that right now on Facebook, and I'll also post it on Twitter. And then you guys don't just retweet it. Pull it down and tweet it yourself at 2 a.m. There you go. It's posted on my page. Right after this show, you'll see it. And let me put that on Twitter for you real quick. Stand by. Okay. Boom. So you'll see what it looks like when I'm about to tweet. This is what it looks like. Oh, hold on. This mic is so big. There you go, and there's the picture. So at 2 a.m., that's what you're going to send out. And I'm going to tweet it right now. Boom. So now you can go on Facebook and you can copy it. Or you can go on Twitter and you can copy it. Whatever you want to do. And there you go. All right. Are we clear? 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is what we're going to do. Now, I'm frozen on Facebook. I don't know if you all are. $2 a.m. Let's get as many people as possible doing this, okay, folks? All right. Let's go to the Truth Zone. Roberto, I'll take you along. Come on with the Truth Zone with me. I wish I had that picture of us when we were out in San Diego. Man, what a great time. We used to go running through the desert on a Jeep. And my Jeep just flying through the desert in the middle of just crazy fun in San Diego. Way before I was a SEAL, I went to Grossmont College out there. Lived over by San Diego State. Let's go to the Truth Zone. All right. All right, folks. I know people, I still get people every now and then are like, what's with the music? Look, I'm a dramatic dude, all right? I'm a passionate guy. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in fighting for freedom. Those of you know I love that toast. Here's to fighting, drinking. Wait, no. Here's to fighting, stealing, lying, and drinking. Here's to lying, stealing, fighting, and drinking. That's it. If you're going to lie, lie to save a friend. If you're going to steal, steal a heart. If you're going to fight an enemy, fight to win. And if you're going to drink, drink with me. I don't have anything to drink right now except coffee. We'll do that Friday night. But here's what we're going to do tonight at 2 a.m., folks. We're going to work together. Don't worry about whether or not anybody responds to this. I'm not worried about that. Tonight is going to be a night when we work together. That should excite you. People from all over the country, even if it's just 40, 50 people. Think about that, folks. 40 or 50 people can get together and send a message directly to the President of the United States. That's pretty phenomenal, because typically in this country you won't get 40 or 50 people working for anything unless it's a special interest. We don't have a special interest. Freedom, the Constitution, those things are special, but the interest shouldn't be. What kind of a weirdo lives in a free country and hates their freedom? What kind of an oddball would grow up and be born free, a freeborn, and despise the very thing that protects their freedom. I don't know what's sweeping over this country or this world. I have my guess, and I do believe the fact that it's gotten inside of so many people, and you can think this is crazy if you want. I believe that other forces are at work in this world. I'm not talking about aliens from space. I'm talking about the reality that's going to visit people on this globe eventually. The father of all lies, and that he is working hand in hand with people like George Soros, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Washington, D.C., the globalists all around this country. If we get 10, 20, 30 people tonight to do it together, I'll be happy. But folks, if we got 100, we're on to something. I'm telling you, we're on to something. Spread this around at 2 a.m. We are going to go on. We don't need millennials. If you're a millennial, that's fine. But we don't need this to be a millennial thing. We don't need this to be an activist thing. We need this to be a unity thing. I don't see race, so race is an issue. I don't see gender unless you're not qualified to do the job. Gender's not an issue. I don't care about your sexuality. What I care about is sustaining freedom in this country and sustaining the vessel of that freedom. I'm going to keep pushing it until you all stand together. Just simply showing up and letting me talk is not it. I'm Jonathan Gillum. Rico's over there whining. I'll see you all tonight at 2 a.m. and then tomorrow right here on this show on The Experts. The truth has arrived. One team, one fight.
Well, Debbie, I reckon you and I should go ahead and head for the hills because this CQRF thing, it's got me nervous.
I understand that. I get it. As long as I can get my computer and, I can take that with me. All right, I'm not saying I'll go anywhere with you, Kucinich, but I have a feeling that this CQRF thing is going to actually be something.
I agree with you, I know. I'm going to see if I can get your computer, but I don't know. I'm not really anybody in Washington, D.C. I didn't even know why he chose to use my voice except for the fact that I'm short.
This is not Debbie. This is the voice of CQRF. Although it sounds like Debbie. Let's do this. 2 a.m. Be there.